Thank you, Stephen. It's a pleasure to be here today. And gosh, I'm the last in-person speaker for a while. I guess this better be good, huh? No pressure, no pressure. But it's a pleasure to be here today and see all of you, as well as you guys at home. Thank you for joining us. My name is Genevieve Silverman. I'm the president and CEO of Nexus Louisiana, which is a quasi-public 501c3 nonprofit corporation with a public purpose to promote the development of high-tech industry and research and an increased employment in the tech sector in Louisiana. Our mission is to accelerate the growth of high-potential technology-enabled companies in the capital region and beyond. And we do that by providing them with coaching, capital, and connections. And through our work with many of these innovative companies, we have come to examine a lot of thriving innovation ecosystems around the country. And today, I want to share with you what we've learned about these many innovative ecosystems and how they were able to shape the cities that they grew up in. And then we'll talk about how Baton Rouge can best position itself to grow a thriving innovation ecosystem and create jobs and wealth for our community. And don't worry, a fellow Rotarian has heard this speech and said it's not the most boring speech he's ever heard from Rotary, so there's that. Well, so we'll start with talking about what is innovation. Rob, is this, do I need to press this bottom button? Hold on, folks, technical difficulties. See, this is why we need more technology in our ecosystem. Thanks, Rob. Okay, so what is innovation? Doesn't the word itself, innovation, get you excited when you hear it? That's probably because Merriam-Webster defines innovation as a new idea, method, or device, or the introduction of something new. And we all love something new, don't we? That's why we go out, we go shopping, Black Friday coming up. Well, what does innovation mean when we apply it to a company? Well, an innovative company could be one that is introducing a new method or new product that is unique from what's already being offered, that makes your life easier, less expensive, more productive, and more self-fulfilling. It could also mean a company that is bringing something existing to a new geographic or demographic market. So what does innovation look like when we talk about an innovative company? Well, what probably first comes to mind for you is maybe one of these companies. You're using these every day, right? Facebook, Uber, Amazon, Netflix. Maybe we're using those a little too much these days. I don't know. Apple. Hold on. Technical difficulties. Oh. You want to advance them by manually, Rob? You want to advance them manually? Okay. Well, so what about Raising Cane's? Raising Cane's, is that an innovative company? Do you feel like it's an innovative company? Well, they brought a new way of ordering fresh, made-to-order chicken fingers, and brought also a unique and slightly addicting sauce. So yeah, I would say it's an innovative company. What about this? A baseball bat has been around for over 100 years, but Marucci found a way to innovate that product into something that is now coveted by athletes around the globe. Food delivery is nothing new, but waiter figured out a way to bring food delivery utilizing a digital platform to small and medium-sized markets that didn't already have it. So what are some of the new wave of innovative companies that we're seeing in the Baton Rouge region that may go on to be a Raising Cane's or Marucci or a Waiter? Well, Pass It Down has created a digital interactive platform to share content from museums, libraries, and corporate brands like Procter & Gamble and Porsche. They've got these really cool kiosks in Porsche dealerships that allow you to interact with the history of the Porsche brand. LAMG over at LSU Innovation Park is creating advanced sealants for roads and bridges. Revive is one of the LSU student companies that has created an interactive music streaming platform. Bascom Hunter provides advanced solutions for the aerospace and defense industries. And these are only a few of the companies in our area. You also see Mastery Prep that has an online test prep service. So let's see how we can look at fostering more of these companies. The first innovative ecosystem that we'll look at is the golden child, the mecca of technology, the often imitated but never quite duplicated Silicon Valley. You may often think you've heard the term Silicon Valley, but what does that mean? Essentially, geographically, it's this region between San Francisco to the north to San Jose to the south. And it's home to hundreds, if not thousands, of innovative, primarily technology-driven companies, all the way from startup tech companies to monolithic companies like Facebook and Google and Netflix. They generate hundreds, if not thousands, of high-paying jobs with an average salary of $81,000, although also a cost of living that is about 100% of the national average. But even with that crazy cost of living, cities all across the country are trying to emulate what they are doing here. And they often use similar names to apply to their regions, like Silicon Beaches, Silicon Slopes, Silicon Prairie. And yes, we've done it to our own beloved Silicon Bayou. So how did Silicon Valley become this enviable region full of jobs and wealth? Well, you can see here that a lot of researchers point to a single company called Fairchild Semiconductors. It was a firm founded in 1957 and spun off approximately 31 additional firms in a span of just about 12 years through 1971. What happens is experienced talent at that big firm then leaves to start new companies. They are growing talent from within as well as attracting talent from the outside to join these companies. And that cycle starts to repeat itself over and over again until you have that massive region full of these types of companies. Think about here at home. Think about here at home and the impact that ExxonMobil has had on our region over the last few decades. What will be the next company in Baton Rouge to create this kind of impact? The next ecosystem we'll look at is Austin. Who's been to Austin? Yeah, lots of people. Why? Because it's cool and you want to go hang out there, and there's South by Southwest and lots of cool hip shops and restaurants. Take Michael Dell, for example. He envisioned an innovative way of selling well-made but relatively inexpensive personal computers to the mass consumer market. He founded Dell Computers in Austin in 1984 and grew it into a massive company with a $42 billion market cap today. Yes, $42 billion with a B. Personally, I think Austin got a little lucky with this one. However, we can see the incredible impact that just this one company has had on that city. You see the Dell name on everything, from hospitals to medical schools to youth programs and concert halls. Pennington is another name that we see here in Baton Rouge that has that kind of impact, as well as other names here. So what is going to be the next entrepreneur that makes a name for him or herself here in Baton Rouge? We'll have to find out. The next ecosystem is Boulder. Who's been to Boulder? A few of y'all. It's kind of a beautiful place to visit, right? And it's a very interesting case because Inc. magazine writes, without the help of oil, natural gas, or any monolithic industry, Boulder County ranks among the top 20 most productive metro areas in terms of GDP. The city also consistently ranks in the top 25 startup ecosystems globally and boasts more than 6 times the national average of startup companies per capita. How did this happen? Well, first of all, the city was very intentionally limiting its physical growth to preserve the pristine beauty of their mountain backdrop. But that limitation actually led to the growth in jobs and companies that we've seen today, because people are attracted to that kind of beautiful city space, and they want to come work there. Residents want to build companies there and attract talent from the outside. While the city hasn't intentionally seemed to focus on building startups, renowned venture capitalist Brad Fell wrote in his book, Startup Communities, how Boulder's startup scene seems to have grown organically by the entrepreneurs themselves celebrating their failures, creating meetups to connect entrepreneurs to investors and each other, as well as government and service providers. The result is that Boulder has a burgeoning tech scene. All sorts of homegrown companies have grown up in various different industries, from biotech to aerospace to food products like Celestial Seasonings. So you can see here from this example that communities can develop and sustain unique entrepreneurial cultures even in the absence of a Kickstarter industry. The next one's a little bit interesting. So who's been to Chattanooga? Yeah, Chattanooga has really come a long way with their tech scene. And a lot of the local media likes to compare the Baton Rouge startup scene to Chattanooga and talk about how well they have done in that city in building a tech startup scene. But that did not happen by accident. And it didn't necessarily happen because they're better at deploying startup resources. It happened because the city in 2010 partnered with their public utility, that was city-owned, to become the first U.S. city to roll out a citywide fiber internet platform that reached 10 gig speeds by 2015. That type of infrastructure, combined with one of the number one lowest cost for startups in the nation, led to tech startups flocking there in droves to take advantage of this infrastructure and build their company. The mayor said, "The fiber changed our conception of ourselves. The day before we turned it on, we had no belief we could become a tech city. The day afterward, when we became the city with the fastest, cheapest, most pervasive internet in the world, we started a mission to figure out how to use it." And yes, they did. They leveraged that investment to create an innovation district in their downtown in 2015. They built this beautiful Edney Innovation Center that you see here that has become home to many startups and startup supporters. So the result is an attractive tech startup destination that continues to grow and shape their city in a positive way. You can see here another example of investing in infrastructure that doesn't necessarily have to happen with government intervention. The Houston Ship Channel was started with a movement by a guy named Jesse Jones back in the early 1900s. And he brought business and philanthropic leaders together to invest in this ship channel that today contributes to over 20% of the state's GDP. So infrastructure does matter. Our next example is Birmingham. Who here has been to Birmingham? So when you think of Birmingham, do you think of it being an exciting, innovative city? No? Yeah, me neither. But I'll tell you that over the last several years, they have made great strides with developing their tech sector, and that is anchored by their homegrown company, Shipped, which was sold to Target at the end of 2017 for $550 million, but remains headquartered within the city. Besides making investments in their physical infrastructure like Innovation Depot, they've worked to bring new tech companies and talent into the region by partnering with SHIP to do that. And they've been very inclusive about it as well, making sure that women and minorities have a seat at the table and they're invited into the room. But Ashley Ammons, co-founder of Mixtro, says Birmingham isn't one of those ecosystems where you just get invited to the party. Someone asked you to dance at that party. And that means that she's just not just invited into the room, but people in that room intentionally want to do business with her. Our final example, a little bit closer to home, is New Orleans. Now, New Orleans had, of course, Katrina, that brought lots of talent, young people into their region to help rebuild the city. And a lot of them fell in love with it and decided to stay and go to work for local companies. One of those people that founded a company in New Orleans is Patrick Comer. He founded Lucid, which is one of the hottest tech companies in the Southeast right now. They have raised a $60 million round and are on track to being one of the greatest success stories for that city in the tech scene. But Lucid has made a point of being okay with their talent leaving to go start new ventures. And so you see here that 2 of their former employees have gone off to start new companies in New Orleans, growing tech companies. And then 3 others have gone to fill very C-suite level roles at other tech companies. Brooke Bissinger, who left to go be the VP of Operations for Align Technologies, said, "I'm from here and I grew up thinking that jobs were doctors, lawyers, or family businesses. So things have changed dramatically for me, and I think for all of New Orleans." So I want y'all to think about that. You know, when you are talking to your kids about wanting them to stay here, or your grandkids want them to stay in Baton Rouge, they need jobs other than doctors, lawyers, or family businesses. They want to know that there's other things out there. Throughout all of these examples, capital is key. We can see from all of these ecosystems that they have plugged in different capital across the continuum to help these companies get from idea to massive market caps on a public market. And they've got everything from seed capital to angel capital. You can see the business and philanthropic community has stepped up, created angel investor networks, and invested in these companies. Lamppost Group is a major contributor in the Chattanooga area, Austin Ventures, Birmingham Venture Club, NOLA Angel Network, etc. So what are the results that we see from investments in startups, talent, capital, culture, and infrastructure that we've been talking about? You can see here the GDP compound annual growth rate from 2011 rather through 2018, so the last several years. And you can see that these cities that have created these thriving ecosystems are reaping the benefits in terms of their economic productivity. So let's delve inward now and start talking about how Baton Rouge can make some real strides towards achieving this type of growth. What do we have to offer? Well, we all know that we don't have a beautiful mountain backdrop like Boulder or a Katrina type event that brings a ton of talent into Baton Rouge. And maybe there's not a lot of millennials or Gen Zs out there thinking, I want to go move to Baton Rouge to join a tech company. But we do have a lot of assets here that we can build on. We've got a beautiful riverfront, major research institutions, great food that we're enjoying right now, great music and culture, as well as a great industrial base as an anchor of our economy. We all know that we love our industrial friends, ExxonMobil, all of our chemical and petrochemical, oil and gas investments. But I would ask you, would you put your entire stock portfolio into that sector? No, you would not. So we want to talk about how we can diversify our economy into other sectors like technology. What can you, everyone in this room, do to help foster innovation in Baton Rouge? What can you do to help grow a company that might turn out to be the next Facebook, Dell, or Shipt, or even Lucid? Well, first, there are a plethora of entrepreneurial support assets in our Baton Rouge region. You can get engaged with these organizations. You can use your money to help sponsor their events and programs. You can check out some of these accelerators, incubators, small business development centers, and see what type of companies are there and how you can get plugged in with a company. You can help spread awareness of these assets to your friends and family who may consider starting a business. And you can offer to be a mentor to one of these emerging companies. Oftentimes, studies show that giving your time as a mentor often returns more than what you're giving. Think about it. If you're sitting down with potentially a young technology-based entrepreneur, they may have a few things to teach you as well. Another important thing that you can do that not everyone considers is to buy local. Use our innovative companies to benefit your organization. Here's some examples. So our clients Pixel Dash and King Crow Studios were hired by ExxonMobil to develop virtual reality training modules for the expansion of ExxonMobil's Baton Rouge polyolefins plant. Those two companies, King Crow Studios and Pixel Dash Studios, were then able to leverage their experience in delivering those products to Exxon to then get further work in the military and industrial sectors. So that one act of Exxon hiring these local companies led to the growth of these companies through other clients and expansion. LSU also hired our client Relief Telemed to perform rapid COVID testing on their campuses. So when your organization is looking to solve internal challenges, maybe improve your processes, lower your costs, or if you're looking to introduce a new or unique product line to the community, think about plugging in with some of our innovative companies here in Baton Rouge, because they may be able to help you. Another thing you can do is to hire local. There are many new alternative pathways that are being developed to develop technology skill sets here in the region. One is Futures Fund. They work with local youth and adults to get them introduced to coding and to new career pathways in the STEM sector. Also, Apprenti Louisiana is a Nexus Louisiana program that sources, screens, and trains people to go to work in mid-tier IT jobs. And we are specifically looking for people that may not have any background or education in technology. But if they have the aptitude and attitude to succeed, then we can put them through a very intensive short-term training program and get them working on the job for you in exactly the role that you need. Another one that we can point to you in the industrial sector is the North Baton Rouge Training Initiative. That's creating new pathways for local residents into the industrial sector. These and other programs like these are a great start, but Baton Rouge needs your support by hiring graduates of one of these alternative pathways. The next thing you can do is to help create an inclusive culture like you saw in Boulder. All of our entrepreneurial support entities are offering a ton of intersecting type of events like Baton Rouge Entrepreneurship Week, which is coming up virtually in January. The BizTech Challenge for HBCU students, as well as the Baton Rouge chapter of Startup Grind, which recently launched last year. So you can show up, you can learn about these companies in person, you can volunteer your time as a speaker, a mentor, or a judge. This is what our entrepreneurial ecosystem is missing, is engagement from the business and philanthropic community to help get plugged in. And then the most important thing is to invest. As we saw, capital is key. An innovative company is not going to grow unless they have the capital to do so. And they need investment across the continuum of capital. The first money into an innovative company is usually the 3 F's: friends, family, and fools. I guess you have to really either love somebody a lot or be foolish to invest in someone at the idea stage, but they do need capital at that stage. Next money in is seed capital. We've got Innovation Catalyst, a nonprofit seed fund in our region that always needs more support. And then Innovation Catalyst recently in January launched an angel investor network here in the capital region. It is called Red Stick Angels. You can see that they used our beautiful rotary sculpture as inspiration for their logo. And Red Stick Angels is basically a group of individuals that comes together to learn about new companies and to write some checks. So if you're interested, the website is redstickangels.org. And then, of course, we have various venture capital and private equity firms here in our region. But we need to continue, especially during the pandemic. There will be a lot of emerging companies that are seeking to solve the problems of our growing chaotic time, as well as to introduce new ideas. And then, of course, we talked about infrastructure. We've got a lot of physical assets here to support entrepreneurs, and that includes LSU Innovation Park, Pennington Biomedical Center, our own Nexus Louisiana Tech Park on Florida Boulevard, as well as the Southern University EDA Center. But let's double down on these investments. Let's look at also what we can do in the communication and transportation sectors to create a more vibrant and supportive environment for our startups. And of course, the last thing is tell a positive story about Baton Rouge. Get to know, show up at some of these events, get to know these entrepreneurs, and then you'll have the resources to be able to tell that positive story. Too often we get negative about Baton Rouge, or we operate in our own little silos, and we don't want to bother to learn about what else is out there. So I hope we will all work together to strengthen our innovation ecosystem by creating public-private partnerships, working together on events and programs, connecting industry to innovative startups, and telling our story to the nation in a collaborative way. We will all benefit, and we will see the benefit of all of the job and wealth creation for our community. And finally, here's my contact information. If you want to learn more, you're welcome to stay after and talk to me. I will put my mask back on. We can be COVID safe. And here's other ways that you can reach me. I hope you all learned something today, and I thank you for being here.
Do we have any questions? Go ahead and repeat the question.
Yes.
How do you learn about all the companies that are at these different tech parks? I know there's a lot of different smaller groups in there. Is there a directory of those and what they focus on? Or?
So I know that our website lists the companies that are in the Louisiana Technology Park. I believe that in LSU Innovation Park may also have a list, but we can also get one together for you and provide it to the ecosystem. We're working with LED to create an innovative portal that will hopefully be launching next year, where entrepreneurs can go and find more resources, and that's another way to connect. But also show up at the events. Baton Rouge Entrepreneurship Week, January 19th. It's virtual, so it's easy to attend. Yes, Naresh.
So I'll speak to my experience, and then it's kind of a question. I have noticed in the Baton Rouge community that there's a plethora of resources for individuals who are starting a business, as you know, with SCORE and SBA with others. But it seems that once people reach this level of like, I'm no longer a small business, but I'm intermediate, that those resources seem to decline rather substantially. Can you speak, and maybe that is just my own personal experience, so can you speak to that about where those resources are, or if there really is kind of a dearth of resources for intermediate sized companies?
Yes, so we typically at Nexus Louisiana will work with a company until they essentially don't need us anymore. So they outgrow our physical space, but we still keep in touch with them. So our Purdy, Louisiana program is servicing companies like General Informatics and Blue Cross that are larger technology-driven companies. But I see what you're saying, that the ecosystem is focused on startups. I know that the Baton Rouge Area Chamber is presently working with Metromorphosis, and we've offered to get involved as well to create more resources for those second stage companies like you're talking about. So look for more to come in 2021. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Yes, David.
Jen, if you could suggest an upgrade that our community could make that would be in line with what Birmingham did, or I'm sorry, with what Chattanooga did in terms of improving fiber, what's the next frontier of technology that Baton Rouge could get ahead of the rest of the nation and improve in order to do something similar?
So I think we need to double down on either challenges that our region faces or assets that we already have. So when you think about challenges that our region faces, it could be law enforcement. I know that there are some community leaders that are working with our law enforcement officials to make sure that we are bringing in and utilizing technology on the field. And also you think of healthcare. So we've got assets like the Pennington Biomedical Center. Let's double down on these things that are helping to solve challenges like obesity in our region. The other thing we can do is to build technology around industries that are already here. So think of industry, all of our industrial assets and plants that we have around. Our organization partnered with BRAC last year for the inaugural Tech Next conference that brought basically the intersection of technology and industry into that conference, and we had a lot of discussions. And I think that that is a new field that we can add more resources to. You saw the example of using virtual reality. We've got some amazing companies here doing virtual reality, augmented reality work. And if we plug more resources into those types of equipment and infrastructure, we could really develop a niche for being the industrial tech hub of the South, Gulf South, and spread what we have to the other cities. All right. Thank you.